Yo, what is going on, you guys? Alejandro here, and welcome back to the episode of Magayon. In this episode, we're going to be building the capital, inspired by Daniel Burnham's plan for Manila during the 1910s, which was sadly not completely realized. What we have now instead is Luneta Park, or Rizal Park, dedicated to our national hero, Jose Rizal, which I built this video right here. I built this on December 30th, which is a nice coincidence, by the way, because this park is dedicated to him, and that's the day when we celebrate all the things he did for the country. But if you guys want to check out how I built this, please like, subscribe, and keep on watching the video. So I'm starting off right here by completely demolishing the old build because it was kind of nice, but I've learned a lot from playing the game by like so long, and from you guys, of course, thank you so much. And with new mods, when I was building these procedural objects, I haven't installed it for some reason, and node controller wasn't a thing, intersection marking tool wasn't a thing, and these assets were kind of like all that I had, and I just used the building of them. But now that they are procedural objects, I can resize them and recolor them however I want, which is a nice addition. I mean, a nice choice, because I love myself some customization, and it also makes the frame rate a lot less crappy. But because the frame rate here is still quite low, but it's not as low as before. I'm also redoing a lot of older builds, so if you guys want to be, if you haven't been here like in the early days of this series, now is a perfect time to continue on. Keep on watching, because we have a lot in store for you. Getting back to what is happening on the screen, I'm using the National Diet building from Japan and these Thai assets. The bottom one is a university building. It's an auditorium, Chulalongkorn University Auditorium. And the ones that I'm using for the roofs are the elementary school buildings. Basically, these are assets by Palm's Time, which is an amazing asset creator. I have a lot of his assets here. He's a Thai asset creator. And that building also up there, which is a provincial hall, I guess, it has this nice shape and these nice extending like points on the corners of the triangles, which are just very Southeast Asian, very Thai, but it's not too much of a highly ornamented version as compared to the more religious ones that they have, like the temples. They are just fully ornamented, like they're gorgeous, filled with these amazing patterns. But this building right here, I'm deciding that this is like a democratic building. We're taking inspiration from a lot of various different philosophies. Like we're taking architecture, what I mean is like the Greek architecture, neoclassicism, Roman, Asian. It's a mix and match of those things to form something completely, uniquely Magayon. Wow. Anyway, so yeah, I just spliced those buildings together. Sorry for the quality, by the way. I did that on a stream. So if you guys want to catch a live stream, hit me up in the comments down below. Now what we're doing is the park in front of the building. But this front of the building is at the south. So this is the southern part, but it's a plaza. The upper part is a plaza. Anyways, I got this PO'd version of the university, of the auditorium, from the old other build that I built, which is the palace. And I removed the entire building, but kept the fencing, I guess. The thing that it keeps you from falling from a high place. Yeah, I used that, and then I copied and pasted it to there. And here I'm also using POs to make these custom columns on the side. These are from what kind? They have a collection, by the way. This type of thing that I'm adding in. You have a corner, a center, and this is the center one, the very center one. And yeah, if you guys want to check out the asset list, the links are down below. I am updating them every time I download an asset. And now I'm adding in the statues on the side. the spacing, I mean the pacing of this video is quite fast because, you know, it actually took me like 3 separate days to do this because I had a lot of revisions, as you know, because when designing, we tend to be like, oh, that's ugly, we have to do this like this again. And that's why I'm also redoing this, because we've learned more and we now know what we can do better. Now, once again, I'm using these assets to clean up the look, making everything nice and seamless. We're adding in another roof there on the side, and these columns, these are actually bridge columns that I'm using, and I just PO'd them. And I'm also using this asset right here, which is a fountain asset. It's from the collection by Matthew on the Steam Workshop. They are from the capital. If you know the Hunger Games, the capital is like the richest city they have, and the government there is like super. Anyways, I don't want to delve in too deep into the Hunger Games, but if you are a fan, or if you've watched it or know a lot about it, you understand what I mean. But now we're doing the fountain, the southern fountain. I mean, this is the only pool. I mean, it's similar to Washington's reflecting pool, and then Abraham Lincoln's monument is on the other side of it. But here we only have this small fountain or pool. Kind of doesn't actually reflect because we don't have ray tracing in the game, but you know what I mean. And now we're doing some other buildings, annex buildings, side buildings. I'm also using the Chulalongkorn University buildings as well, and mixing and splicing them together with these columnar buildings, and then placing a roof over it to make something completely unique. Now it looks like a completely different building, if you ask me. I just wanted to keep the roof, the thigh roof, give it a little bit of modern or brutalist elements, with the pillars just being a complete square, no ornamentation, because I think ornamentation is reserved for the royal family, and simplicity is what the democratic design is all about. But yeah, now as you can see, it's quite clean, but there's this empty space right here on the side. So I just use this temple asset. It's a Greek temple. You'd know or a Roman, I don't know their differences. They're quite similar, but the difference with Roman is that they're much more grander, and a lot more is what they call this, preserved, rather than the Greeks. So yeah, they took inspiration from, the Romans took inspiration from the Greeks, so it's very similar. And I'm just adding them on each ends of these annex buildings. I'm not quite sure what their purposes are, these buildings. I think they are the different heads of the government, but if there are like votes to be held, they go to the main building, which has the pyramid thing there. And here on the sides, I just added in, I changed the entire thing, by the way. I'm going to be rebuilding that district there, that Lundian district, which is green because Lundian is green. But here I'm adding in these, I don't know which game extension DLC this is from, but these buildings, the police station and the hospital, they are amazing. They're kind of brutalist, so they kind of fit with the 70s theme that we're going for on the main expansion of the city. I'll be going into the Let's Play later on to explain more about the history and the architecture of this place. But as you might have saw a while ago, I just placed the flagpole there. I'm still not quite sure where to place the flagpole, but that's its temporary location for now. And here, to clean up the things on the plaza or the square or whatever, I just use an asphalt decal, changed the color with the painter mod, and then moved it to, the top. And here, I was trying out to use the Washington DC, the Capitol building, and just keep dome, sank everything down, the left and the right wings. But I was kind of hesitant on keeping the dome or using a dome, because every other Capitol building has a dome, and it's kind of a European or a Western theme for architecture, and I want to keep more of the Asian type of feel, because in Asian architecture you don't really see that many domes. It's mostly like pointed buildings similar to Japanese, Chinese, but mostly Thai architectures. Their buildings are like pointing upwards and they are gorgeous. So I want to keep the sentiment of Asian architecture by using an Asian building, the National Diet building, and just making the pyramid a lot larger by making the PO bigger and extending the pyramid on top so that I can just use it instead of keeping the entire building. So if I just put that down, there you go. Later on in a live play, I'll show you guys in more detail how this looks like in first person, views from each of the avenues, because we have 5 radiating avenues, which is amazing, keeping in with like Daniel Burnham's theme. But yeah, I'm gonna be talking about that later on. Now we are landscaping the buildings. I'm just using simple landscaping, using cypress trees and bushes, because I don't want to make this part of the area a little bit, covered in foliage. I want to make it a lot more minimal in detailing, a little bit more regal, and just copying and pasting them to the other side, and I think this looks quite nice. And now I'm just adding in this fence here to divide the space up, so it's dividing the space between the plaza and the road. And yeah, it just gives it a little bit more detail, and it's not too high to block the views from people who are outside, and it's not too low that people can just put their crossover with their legs. But anyways, now what I'm doing is intersection marking tool, which is amazing. I'm detailing this intersection. It's a bike intersection. It's connecting the radiating avenue with the one-way road that goes around the entire Capitol complex. The detailing for this intersection is quite messy at first, but once we go ahead and finish it off, it looks better. It makes sense. But the other one that I'm going to be doing next, that is a little bit more complex, because instead of just 2 intersections or like 2 things being connected, it's connecting 3. So we have the radiating avenue, we have the road that is going around the Capitol, and we have this other road that is connected to the axis road, the north-south axis avenue. Similar to Paris, I guess. You have a lot of Parisian influence in this series, in this city, which I'll be talking more in the live play. But for now, I'm just doing these Dutch inspired intersection, and yeah, I think that fits in quite well. You might also see those 2 buildings on the left and the right that fit the block perfectly, the unique shape of the block. I'm going to be doing that on a later episode, because I was just testing them out and they just seemed a little bit too large for the scale of this build. And now I'm just adding custom road detailing here, changing the bike lane color to a pinkish red, a light red, and adding in a curb in between to separate the cars from the cyclists, not the bikers, bikerist. Anyways, now that we're done with the roads and the buildings, we're now going to be doing detailing. Here we are doing the northern part, which is inspired by the one in the Capitol building in Washington. I'm taking inspiration by the design by Frederick Olmsted for this part of the Capitol building, which has like curvy roads. Like when you turn, you get a very unique view of the Capitol building and the places around it, and each of these are like extending out into the radiating avenues. I was thinking of just following the radiating points, but it just didn't make much sense with how this building is placed. But yeah, the pyramid is also visible from every single radiating road, as you may have seen. And yeah, we have sightlines as well in place to make sure that this building is the only building, in a specific area, is the main focal point. But anyways, getting back to the video, we now are adding in these pathways. These are the concrete pedestrian paths, which are amazing, but they have this issue where they don't connect properly with the nodes, as you may see. But that's because they are not elevated. You have to make them into the elevated model and just, adjust its elevation with node controller so that it wouldn't clip with the textures. But yeah, I'm just changing the sizing of this thing, making that elevated. I'm thinking that cars can actually use that, but only specific ones. I'm not adding a fencing around this entire building because I'm thinking that the protection for this entire place is kind of non-intrusive. We have, let's just imagine that this place is super safe. It's open to the public, but there are like CCTV cameras and like hidden things that people don't notice are there to serve as security measures for this place. So you just feel like you're in another part. You don't feel like you're like in a highly secured area. But yeah, design. Anyways, now what we're doing is this sunken road that I use, and I just, instead of terrain network conforming thing, I just use a road and then remove the color of it with Surface Painter. And this is going to be the museum for the visitor center. Actually, it takes inspiration from Washington DC's visitor center for the capital, and this is where the public has access to go into the place because people are actually working in this building, like senators, congressmen, I think they work there and they have offices, so they can only go into like the pyramid, and then under that they have all the artifacts for the history and all that kind of stuff. I was watching the architect of the Capitol while I was actually building this, so I have a much more in-depth understanding of this place rather than before I was just looking at Google Earth and just pictures. But now I have an understanding of the philosophy behind it, because that's how architecture is. We take things, we make things. That's quite a basic explanation, but yeah, I love architecture, but the school is kind of. Anyways, what we're doing now is this skylight thing because this is sunken. I was thinking on placing it here on the far end, but it just didn't make much sense, so I decided to just move it closer to the building because we have to have a skylight. It probably would be closer to the Capitol itself so that people looking from the bottom or from underground can see the Capitol building when they look up. And instead of the skylight there, I decided to, later on you will see what I placed there, but I'm making this smaller so that the terrain won't clip. I'm using the asphalt trick again, changing its color so that it would be similar to the pathways. I didn't bother placing an underground thing there. I just decided to it's glass. It serves its purpose as a skylight visually, but it doesn't really let in light anywhere because it's just a sheet of glass on top of asphalt. But yeah, to fix the terrain clipping issues, I just added in some surface grass on the side, and to make the thing look cleaner and more coherent and seamless, I used this pillar corridor asset once again and just sunk it and used PO to make everything fit nicely. It just adds a little bit more depth to it. It makes it feel more, what do you call this? Touchable, tangible. Yes, that's the word. I'm so vocabularious. Anyways, instead of a skylight, I decided to place a fountain, and I used PO to make it smaller and to make it narrower, and change its color to be a little bit more gray and a little bit more a deeper shade of blue. And I'm using these fountain jet assets from the workshop and just made them into a line, and then change its height to form like it's going down, baby. Yeah, later on in the live play you'll see them in action. They are gorgeous. And now I'm just doing the landscaping and keeping it simple yet elegant. That is the vibe we're going for here. Simple yet elegant and FPS friendly, because the last one was just a little bit too much. And I'm just adding in those benches there on the sign so that people can walk there and, you know, just bask in this democratic beauty or something. I don't know, it's grandeur. And yeah, as you can see, the design now is a little bit more open. It's more public, more democratic, and more for the people. It's more open and accessible, which is what a government should be. It should be transparent in everything that it does. So yeah, a little bit of political trueness here. You know, if you haven't voted yet, or like, oh no, registration is done. So yeah, just vote wisely. Okay, just vote wisely in the 2022 elections, guys, because we won't have this chance until 2028. Okay, 2028. We can't. You know, we can't waste 6 years. We can't waste 6 years, so we have to be very mindful of what we choose in May. Filipinos, yes, to my fellow Filipino viewers out there, thank you so much. Happy New Year! By the way, Happy New Year! This is so late into the video. Yeah, 21 minutes into the video. I'm just greeting you guys Happy New Year. But yeah, this New Year is gonna be great. No, it's not. We have a new variant going around. Omicron says hi. Omicron is like here to destroy our plans. But yeah, I'm used to it. But if I had a choice, I'd rather not have this new thing, a new problem, because we already have so many problems in life. We don't want to add any more anymore. Anyways, getting that tangent out of mind. I mean, out of the conversation we're having right now. I'm now doing the southern park. Yes, we're landscaping it. As you have seen, I just copied the design from the Capitol fountain, used the box tree assets, which are quite French, oui, and added in a bench in the middle of them. And then to make the place more organic feeling, I just added the similar tree that we use for the northern park and just used them there. Here in the plaza, the upper plaza, I literally have no names for these places, like in stone. But if you guys have any suggestions for the different buildings here, probably a little bit more of a Southeast Asian inspiration, probably more Filipino. But if you guys have any Southeast Asian words that might fit the theme here, like capital is derived from the Latin term city on a hill. So if you guys have any Southeast Asian transcription for capital or something similar to city on a hill, hit me up in the comments down below. Now we're actually done. We're actually done with the build. This is the Capitol building, the National Mall type of thing. I'm just adding in greeneries and detailing on the side, and I had a little glass just making this work. And I'm so excited for what I have for you guys in the following episodes, because we're going to be continuing on this build, and we're also going to be redoing other builds in the city. So yeah, I'm just going to be adding in more trees, and also there on the other side here near the walled city. And yeah, I'll be seeing you guys in the live play while I explain this build in a lot more detail. And welcome to the live play. This is now the Capitol complex all done. The Central Park and everything within it is now complete. What you're seeing here is the southern facade of the Capitol building itself and the reflecting pool that is in front of it. You can see here on the left and on the right sides the box cut trees that we have in place, and also some naturally growing trees. I was thinking on keeping it just completely box cut, but I wanted to give the place a little bit more shadow because it's the 2030s in the lore of the game, in the lore of this series. But so climate change is like a contributing factor to every decision that is made. But yeah, I'm thinking that this used to be just open when it was first built, not that many trees or small trees, and it's like 100 years has passed, so they're like quite large, and it's quite an amazing place to walk on. Look at that, we're walking, and the trees give off this amazing shade. You can sit down there on the sides and admire the buildings, the architecture, and the Capitol itself just feels so very, very so very democratic, so very patriotic, so bold, so nice. There's a stair there, and here we have a street. I don't know, it's just an opening, and it leads directly into like Lundian over there, which is the green city. I need to rebuild that in the future, and it continues on this entire view area, this entire vista. It continues on from the walled city. So when you're in the walled city, you can just basically walk out and then go straight through, but you can actually, but visually speaking, it continues on. Like visually, it's like it's all connected. It's a dedicated space. And that building there, I love that roof. I mean, that upper deck or the rooftop with that roof thingy that is overhanging. It's so unique. It's kind of like giving, it has a similar vibe to this area. It just makes it feel so unique. It's actually the Japanese buildings. But yeah, let's look at these buildings here. Oh, there are people biking. Hi. Sorry for the frame rate, by the way. It's just how it... Oh my god. Jesus. Anyways, so we have a floating person there for some reason. Let's go here on the left. We have a random tree here. I should probably delete that. But yeah, we have wide walkways. This is 8 meters wide, and the walled city is right over there. So that place is also a park, and this city needs a lot of parks. Unlike Manila, which has... I mean, this is the only park they have in Manila, but here in Magayon, we have a lot of planned areas. We're walking by on the left walled city. The right are the Annex buildings. I'm still not final. I haven't finalized what kind of the different ministries or the sectors of the government will be staying in each of those buildings. But I think that the Capitol building right over here would be where they like make votes and decide on the decisions for the government. Yes. And the Capitol, this has a more beautiful lighting, by the way. Look at that. From inside the park, if the Annex buildings are quite hidden, they're like shaded and properly hidden. You can even walk through here and see the Capitol there, the East Wing. That's the East Wing right there. It has Thai architecture, and here are the Annex buildings mixing Thai and classical architecture. Now this city is very much walkable and bikeable as well. We have a very wide pedestrian roads around the entire one-way road that goes around the entire thing, and we have a bike lane that also goes hello, you can go. I should probably fix that, or maybe ban cars from entering this road. Walking here, it has a much better view of the lighting from this angle. You can clearly see the architecture here, unobstructed. You can see the cypress trees and the ferns, the palms. It's quite nice, it's quite amazing. And the fencing as well. We have fire hydrants, which are nice touch. The trees, just similar to those ones. And on this side, we have the what do you call this? The police headquarters, the Department of Defense, or the Central Intelligence Agency. Yes, let's just make it something like that. And they're directly across the Capitol because why not? And here we have the Institute of Medicine. Wow! If you guys have any name suggestions for what institutes we're going to be placing here, what branches of the government, probably similar to democratic government, something like that, or monarchy, if you just have any suggestions. And here we have, if I can just move it a little bit, the turning of the roads is just amazing. We have these twin buildings on the left and on the right. We have that one over there, and this one. I'm gonna be rebuilding these, but these are gonna be like the Senate and House of Representatives, I think, probably. And let's move on to this side. I'm gonna be showing you guys the different views of the different radiating roads. This is the easternmost, the eastern radial, or the fourth. R4. The name of this road is R4, radial number 4, and it's amazing. I'm just amazed by everything that I'm building here. And this path right here, it leads directly towards the top, and it has a ramp that goes above it, and you can go up directly into the thing. And from here, you have an unobstructed view of Magdala right there. Kaya po, some terrain glitching at the far end. The old walled city, the temple, the Senate and the House of Representatives, and here, the north-south axis and the two radiating roads. This one leads directly into the palace, but it doesn't face directly into the palace. But this one does lead to directly into something else. I'm thinking that this radiating road would lead to the train station, the northern train station, or the eastern train station, because we have a train station over there, that side. Yes, by those buildings there. So if you've been watching the series, you'd know where it would be. Here, this one goes to the plaza, to the palace. But it had to do this weird turn to the palace because the palace was built way before the plans for the expansion of the city was built. So they were placed parallel to the river, as you can see, and that's the main palace right there, and these are the extension. This is now a plaza. Yes, it's open to the public. It used to be closed, but yeah, that's where the royal family is living now. But we still do have something that goes directly into it. If I just move or scoot a little bit into the center of the axis, of the north-south axis, something will be placed right here. Yeah, on this side, something important, or a sign that if you look over to that direction, you'd be able to see the palace and every other important thing in the city, and the land reclamation. That's very far away in the future. But yeah, I should really talk about this one. Is gonna be similar to Paris? Is it gonna be similar to the Champs-Elysees? Anyways, let's go here on this side. This is gonna be built on a following episode. Okay, now let's face this direction. This is the northern plaza, the northern facade. I'm gonna be keeping these 3 grass plots empty. I'm gonna be making them into more parks. And here, if we just go down a little bit, is the visitor center, inspired by Washington DC's visitor center, which is underground, because they needed to add another building to the capital, which would facilitate the visitors or people who want to know more about the country, a center to just for them to visit. But they didn't want to build above it, they didn't want to destroy the view, so they decided to go down. But there is literally nothing under here. As you may have seen, we have these roads and the POs that are under there, if you can see them. Yes, right there. But there's nothing literally here. But the park here, it used to be fenced off in my previous build, but I decided to just keep it open and keep it accessible to everyone. The security system here, I think, let's just imagine that there are security cameras everywhere and like active defense systems in place for anything bad that may happen. This is quite safe. You can have a seat, walk around, go in the shade. I suddenly felt a sudden sense of relief because it was so hot here. You can see that the scorching sun, but here you just feel cool, calm, and collected. CCC. You get 3 seed, but yeah, look at that. It's much more cozy than the previous build that I built. It's much more open, it's much more transparent, it's much more democratic. And it's the same story for the other side. And now let's go here at the center. We have these gorgeous lamps here. I love that touch. Just the lamppost, it gives it an entire level. It brings the level of the girl, calm down. Anyway, so yeah, we have these lamps right here. These are San Francisco ones built in the 1910s or 1800s, which are quite appropriate because this building was built during the 1910s, but the architecture is neo-classical with a touch of Asian. It's kind of unique. It's quite Magayon. Here we have the fountains, my custom-made fountains that I love, that I actually used 2 times, actually 3 times. The next episode, we're going to be building a special park in the city. But yeah, custom ones PO'd it, and then I arranged the height so that it would be more unique. It's just the same thing, but move it up and down. we have the two statues here of horses. These were the only thing available in the Steam Workshop. I was thinking of placing tons of statues right here, but I guess the Cities Skylines really doesn't like too high a level of details. We have this skylight right here. Let's just imagine that the visitor center or museum is under here, and then when they look up, they see that beauty over there. And now let's go to the square, the capital square. This is elevated so that, you know, a sense of importance and grandeur. And there we have the view of the mall or the Central Park. Still have no name for this, but look at that. The obelisk, I am not sure if I'm going to be keeping that, but yeah, that used to be there in the old one, but it doesn't make much sense because in Burnham's plan there wasn't really anything there, and people are actually walking here, which is quite nice because you wouldn't want to go around the entire place. We have more of those lamps, these boxes, the way the roof is shaped. It's very beautiful. It's very Eastern, yet Western at the same time. And also here on the Annex buildings, you can clearly see the roofs. That's why I used the Chulalongkorn University asset because it's just quite amazing. Anyways, this is the avenue. I'm gonna be giving you guys a video about that in the future. And now let's go up into the sky. Let's go to the bird's eye view of the entire thing so that you'd see what it in a much better sense. Now we've been in the first person, now let's go to the top view of the entire thing. Let me just zoom in so that the necessary textures would load in. This is the Capitol building. Yes, these are the two main parks we have inside this road that goes around the entire thing, which is a one-way road with bike lane that traverses everything. People don't really use this road. This road is just rarely used. We have the Capitol building here, the House and the Senate, I guess, and the three branches of the government. Yeah, they're there, and this is where they make the decisions. We have more annex buildings, the old institutes, I guess, the east and the west wings, the medical, police, museum, park, and more parks. And yeah, I guess that's, and also a park here. And yeah, I guess that's all that I have for you guys today. If you guys enjoyed this video, please give it a big thumbs up, comment down below what you want to see next, and of course, don't forget to subscribe. Making these videos takes a lot of time, from researching to building to recording to editing. So if you guys want to show your support to this channel and help us continue making more of these types of videos, you can head on to my Patreon page, patreon.com/Alejandro, and get exclusive content, early access, and so much more. The same game of Magayon is now available to all patrons, as I've said and promised that on episode 50 I'll be releasing it. But if you're at the highest tier, you get the latest save game for each episode. But if you can't, that's okay. You can still click like, subscribe, and hit that bell notification so you'll be notified whenever I upload a brand new video. This is Alejandro signing off. Bye!